Heck of a win, man. Heck of a team win. All right. When I said the word team, I mean the word team, man. All three phases. That is the standard. That's why you won. That's why you got the result you did. You prepared. All week long, you prepared your butts off, man. That's what you get when you do it the right way. That process, that same process every week. That same leadership every week. Demanding that from yourself.
We stay here. We focus in on the details. We keep chipping away every week, right? Let's just keep getting better each and every week. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Finding a way. Finding a way every week. How about the Buffalo Bills? No overthinking, right? Go play some ball. Go play some football.
It's an exciting time to be a Buffalo Bill and a fan of the Buffalo Bills.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into Week 5 of the Sean McDermott Show presented by Kaleida Health. Thanks for joining us here. And, Sean, thank you again for spending some time with us this week. Huge win over Miami. I'll admit, some of the fans, we had some angst about this one. They looked so sharp offensively. But you got a huge win, 48-20 over them. Offense put up 48 points. Defense held the top-scoring offense to just 20. Plus, you end the game on 3 straight possessions where they're 4 and out, and you stop them on 4th down 3 times. What was more impressive? I know the answer. Your defense or your offense?
Well, I think I can do the politically correct answer and say all of it. Right. I mean, when the defense, when I wasn't putting them in a good position early in the game, had given up 2 straight touchdowns, the offense was rolling. And then the special teams was winning the kicking game at the same time. So we were still winning 2 out of the 3 phases, and that's what helped our defense get going.
Yeah, and start with Josh, perfect passer rating, tied his career high with 5 total TDs. 84% completion percentage. He's the second player in NFL history with 300-plus yards, 4 passing, 1 rushing. The only guy to ever do it was Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. That was once 3 years ago, right? So is that the best game you've ever seen Josh play?
If not, it's one of the top. I mean, it was impressive, and I didn't get a chance to see. I usually watch it the day after, right? So because during the game, I'm got my head down talking to the defense. Half the game I feel like, and I miss half of the amazing things he does, and our offense does as well as our kicking game, and just very solid in all areas. I mean, he took care of the football and made sound decisions, moved us down the field, and at times took some shots down the field. And I think it was a good blend of just playing the quarterback position at a high level.
Well, Steph himself scored 3 touchdowns, tied his career high. And each one of those touchdowns was a little different, presented kind of this elite trait that he has. The first one was the chemistry with Josh. Kind of just hung in there on a shallow cross, moved. Josh found him, touchdown. The second one, showing a little bit of dog and breaking a couple of tackles, spinning out, and just running in the end zone. And the third, he put the DB in a blender. I mean, the guy, it was a great route. What's the most impressive part about Steph?
I think just his overall game. Right, he's willing to block in the run game. He runs away from people. As you said, kind of can shake and bake in the middle of his route stem, and they left the DB standing there, and it has the open pylon throw, and then he has the run after catch. So I mean, he's got it going, and he works so hard during the week to perform at that level. It's fascinating to watch.
You mentioned early on in the game when the offense was kind of carrying things along, and it looked like it was going to be one of those track meets. You scored on 5 of the first half possessions. 4 of them were touchdowns. Josh completed his first 10 passes. But let's talk about Ken Dorsey and his offensive staff, the game plan they put together. What's the next step for these guys? I mean, Josh, we've seen the dips once in a while, but those are becoming more infrequent. And I don't know that Josh doesn't keep raising his own ceiling. What's next for Ken Dorsey and Josh?
Well, and you're right. Coach Dorsey, the offensive staff, did a phenomenal job of putting a plan together. Then the players executed, led by Josh. And I think it's every week now we're going into week 5.
Right.
And we're learning a little bit about our team, and in this case, our offense and what they do best and how we can blend the style of offense together to keep a clean pocket, keep Josh clean. And I mean, he was hit 3 times total in the whole game. So, and when you look back to last week, it wasn't all that much different. Clean pocket. So I think that's a key that we have to continue to pursue every week down the road here.
One of the things about your defense has been their pass rush. You sacked Tua 4 times. You tied for the second most of his career in a game, most in a game since last year. Rousseau had a couple sacks. Ed Oliver had a sack, and he was a disruptor, and he's been playing at a high level. What about that defensive front, those front guys that you rotate in and out? What's been the biggest surprise over there?
Well, I think more than anything, the confidence that they're playing with. You know, last year and the years past, I think it'd been a little bit inconsistent maybe, and some of those players were young and trying to get their footing a little bit in the league. And the league is tough, as you know. It'll humble you awfully quick, and you've got to be able to remain confident through the process. And those guys have done that to this point.
Heartbreaking moment when Tre'Davious went down. His teammate, it was heartwarming as well to see the way his teammates came to his aid, and Poe riding out of the stadium with him to be there for him. And as you know, nobody knows what the future is, but you got to kind of keep rolling. How do you replace a guy with his presence on the field, his leadership in the locker room, his voice? It's a void.
We'll miss him. I mean, you don't replace a guy like that on the field or off the field, but it'll be great to have him around, and we're going to do our best to support him and his family. And I mean, Trey is, if anybody can do this, Trey can. I mean, having gone through what he's already gone through, and now here we are going through it again, and we'll be here to support him all the way.
All right, thanks, Coach. We're going to catch up with you later in the show and get your final thoughts on facing the Jaguars in London. Stay with us.
The Game Plan is presented by Energy Mark. Trust Energy Mark for renewable energy supply.
When we come back, Eric Wood and I break down the tape from Josh Allen's career day against the Dolphins. Then we'll take an inside look at Sean McDermott's leadership style in another edition of The Roadmap.
Chopping Wood is presented by St. Bonaventure University, an official education partner of the Buffalo Bills.
Welcome back to the Sean McDermott Show, and it's now time to look back at the tape with our good buddy Eric Wood. The Bills had an incredible game on both sides of the ball against Miami, and Josh Allen turned in one of the best performances of his career. What did you take from this last game?
Yeah, this might be the most patient we've seen Josh all year, and maybe in his entire career. He had a perfect passer rating in this game, and that's a result of taking what the defense gives him, and then when the shots were there, and Ken Dorsey certainly dialed up a few schematically, he was able to connect on those, and sure glad Josh was able to put on a performance like this in front of that home crowd.
Well, let's get right to it. Let's start with his first touchdown of the game, an 18-yarder to Gabe Davis. Take me through the design from Dorsey here.
Yeah, Dorsey's going to put Hardy in motion here, and the look is screaming to the defense, we're going to take this little screenplay to Hardy in the flat. And they've shown that this year. Well, Gabe Davis is running a wheel route, but essentially he's stalking the defender to make it look like he's going to block him, and that draws the defender up to try and then pursue Hardy. And as soon as he slips past him, the defense has no chance to recover. Josh delivers a perfect ball for the touchdown.
Yeah, and then a couple of possessions later, Josh found Diggs for his first of 3 touchdowns. What did you see here?
Yeah, this is just great improvisation by Josh and Stephon Diggs, showing off some of their chemistry that they've developed over their time in Buffalo. Diggs is running a shallow cross, short of even linebacker level. When he sees Josh scramble, he just kind of buys a little time, backs up a little bit, right behind that level of the linebackers, and Josh hits him with the ball with a nice throw, and Steph's able to back into the end zone for his first touchdown of the day.
Then just before the half, Diggs got another one in the 55-yarder, and really he did it all here himself.
He did, yeah, and Steph here proves why he's one of the best wide receivers in all of football. Here they're going to run play action, and Steph's going to run a deep comeback. Josh delivers a great ball, but this should be a nice gain, a nice play. Instead, Stephon Diggs shows off his strength here, breaking through tackles, and then breaks away from the defense for the long touchdown.
And then Diggs got his 3rd touchdown of the game in the 3rd quarter, and this was a beauty. It's a great route. What did you see on this red zone play?
Yeah, Josh Allen sees that he's got Diggs one-on-one on the outside against Kohu. Diggs is going to fake the slant, and Kohu makes one motion inside, and Stephon Diggs is so quick, and Josh Allen knows exactly where he wants to go with the football. He's watching him the entire time, and he creates about 5 yards of separation there, which is so hard to do down the red zone. In the red zone, these windows get extremely tight, and this is an incredible route by Diggs. Perfectly timed throw by Josh.
And as we've seen before, it wouldn't be a perfect Josh Allen game without a Josh Allen rushing touchdown. Talk us through this 11-yarder.
Yeah, before the start, Josh Allen, we could hear him in our headsets calling the game. He was saying, alert, alert. So they checked to this play. So Cook's going to come across the formation from right to left, and this is the design run play for Josh. We know that because Deion Dawkins is pulling around to the right side of the formation. He does a great job there. Spencer Brown has a nice kick out block. Mitch Morse gets to the second level, gets enough of the linebacker, and Josh Allen walks in for the touchdown. And I thought Ken Dorsey's red zone play calling and preparation for this game was so on point against Miami.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll have a lot more games like this. Great stuff as always. Thanks for this, Eric, and we're going to catch up with you next week.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it, Steve.
When we return, we take an inside look at Sean McDermott's leadership style in The Roadmap. Then later on, we'll take a deep dive into some next-gen stats in Sportsology.
Good job, Coach! Good job!
Thanks for being here, Coach. And how do you start to set the relationship building with a new team?
Well, one of the goals that we try and set in the off season is for the team to get to know one another. That chemistry is so vital to our success. My dad was a coach, and he always told me when I started to get into this business, hey, the players will never care how much you know until they know how much you care about them as a person.
Hey, I got all the confidence in the world. We've been through it before. Work it this week.
We feel strongly that the chemistry, the bonds, the players knowing each other in a very close-knit way makes us a better team overall at the end of the day.
Let's go, let's go!
You know, being a leader starts at home. That's where you got to start. And listen, I'm not perfect. Try and lead my family, try and lead myself, number one, and then lead our football team. And really try and create an environment whereby everyone can become the best version of themselves. So that's an important piece of it.
Love y'all, boys. Win on 3, 1, 2, 3! Win! Here we go, we're moving, let's go, baby, let's go!
I think starting over every season is the way to go. Starting from scratch, reteaching the fundamentals, reteaching our core values, reteaching our messaging to help build the culture again. Because culture, I know it's talked about a lot with our football team, it's certainly real, but if you don't tend to the garden, so to speak, then it'll grow up in the form of weeds all around it.
Here we go, we're bouncing, that's it, Q, that's it.
You don't accomplish anything by yourself. There's nothing more important than the team and keeping the team first. When you're trying to accomplish a big-time goal, you've got to do it together or you're never going to get there.
A lot of talk up front now, over-communicate it, over-communicate.
If you can then go back and over-communicate and work things out, I think that really is what makes those relationships even stronger and builds that bond that is so important.
You've implemented a lot of things to create the culture and the foundation that you talk about today. One of the things that we've heard is trust the process. What does that mean to you now today?
It's funny, you know, at my opening press conference, I used that word a few times.
Like I said, I thank the Pagulas in the process, extensive conversation throughout the interview process. I just believe in the process, and we're going to win going through the process.
That's all I heard, and that's all I heard after that from some of the media about the word process. And it's definitely a word like culture that's probably overused, but in this case, I'm pretty authentic about the importance of process.
I think overall, it's really just about how one can become the best version of themselves. If you're trying to achieve elite levels of performance, people that focus more on the process is how you get there. It's how you get in the zone more times than not. And so if you focus on the result, man, you're going to live a pretty turbulent, results-driven life.
The NFL is a competitive business. You're going to win some, but you're also going to lose some. You're going to have to be able to respond and reset after failure. And so we talk a lot about that at the Bills and trying to get our players in that perfect headspace to perform at the highest of the high levels.
You want them as leaders, as young leaders, to learn how to lead, but you want them to be themselves. We don't all lead in the same way. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's one sentence you can look up to clearly define what leadership is. I think it's all based on the situation and the person and the people, as well as the goals. So I think leadership is constantly changing and evolving, and it's fun to watch young leaders, especially on our football team, develop.
Still to come on the Sean McDermott Show, we break down the next-gen stats in Sportsology. And later on, Coach previews the game across the pond in London with the Jaguars.
Sportsology is presented by ECMC. ECMC, bringing hope and healing to Western New York.
The Bills have been cooking through 4 weeks of play. From offense to defense, this team ranks amongst the best statistically.
So let's dive into a few stats that help paint the picture of why they've been playing so dang well.
Offensive tackle Deion Dawkins, you already know the vibes, is having a career year. He's allowed a low rate of 5.7% pressure on 123 total pass blocking snaps. That's the 12th lowest among tackles this season per Next Gen Stats. Despite the O-line doing their thing, Josh Allen has averaged a time to throw of 2.84 seconds, the fastest of his career per Next Gen Stats. In Week 4's big dub against the Dolphins, Allen completed a career-high 14.2% of his passes over expected and recorded a 69% success rate, which is the second highest of his career. The offense is scoring a boatload of points because the defense keeps handing the ball back to them, thanks to guys like Ed Oliver, who leads the league in pressure rate on pass rushes, doing it at a rate of 27.3%. So far, the Bills are averaging the most points and have the most sacks through the first 4 weeks of a season in the Sean McDermott era. We will see if the guys can keep it up in London.
When we come back, Chris Brown and Maddy Glab break down Sunday's matchup with the Bills and Jaguars in London. Plus, Coach previews what it will take to improve to 4-1.
Game Preview is presented by Independent Health. You deserve the red shirt treatment.
Welcome into this week's game preview. Maddy Glab alongside Chris Brown, and the 3-1 Bills are taking on the 2-2 Jags in London. The Bills have scored over 35 points in 3 straight games and have beaten their last 3 opponents by at least 28 points, which ties for the longest streak in the Super Bowl era. So the question here is, can the Bills keep it rolling, as Ken Dorsey has done a great job calling the games, and the offense has really done a great job of coming together and then making it work on the field. But here's the thing. They're going up against another tough defense, and I feel like we've been saying this every week. They've got another tough defense. Well, the Jaguars are just allowing about 20 points a game. They have the 4th most takeaways with 9. And oh, by the way, they have a player named Josh Allen who also leads the league in sacks right now with 6. So let's start here, Chris. What are the Jaguars going to present on defense that's going to give the Bills offense a few challenges?
Yeah, they have a decent pass rush, as you mentioned. Josh Allen, 3-sack game last week against Atlanta over there at Wembley Stadium. And then they have the number 1 pick in the draft from a couple years ago in Trayvon Walker, who also offers an edge presence. So there'll be 2 guys that they're going to have to focus on this week instead of just 1, which has been the case the past couple of games. And then on the back end, you've got rangy guys that can take the ball away. Andre Sisco, their free safety, is an opportunistic guy, along with Darius Williams, who had a pick 6 last week. So you got to look out for those players on the back end, and that's their rush and coverage that works well together, something to be mindful of.
So then on offense, do the Bills just basically need to keep it rolling, keep doing what they're doing, or do they need to game plan a little bit for the guys that you talked about?
I think the high efficiency approach, getting the ball out of Josh's hands quickly, is good for those 2 pass rushers that they bring to the table. If it's out of Josh's hand, the production doesn't have to hold up as consistently from the start to the finish. So that should be the way they go. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, most definitely. We'll see if the Bills can keep on keeping on and keep the streak alive, maybe 4 straight with a win against the Jaguars.
Coach, back at it this week. You're playing the Jaguars in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They're coming off a 23-7 win. They're kind of waiting on you across the pond. It'll be your first time you're coaching overseas. What's kind of the most thrilling part about going overseas and doing something you've never done before?
Well, I think just that. I've never been over there, so I'm not a big world traveler. So this will be a new experience for me. But at the end of the day, we're there to play a football game and coach a football game in this case. So we have a challenge ahead of us, and that's what we're focused on.
Yeah. The quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, for the Jaguars, has come a long way since the last time you faced him. He's got some weapons in Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne. You should name a couple of them. How does their offense stack up from what you saw maybe against Miami this last week?
Well, they're different. They have their own weapons that do their own things, and they have certainly players with great strengths. Etienne's great in space, great with the ball in his hands, and they have great skill players at tight end and wide receiver, as you already mentioned. And then Trevor is years removed from that first game when we played him there a few years ago. So it'll be a big challenge for us.
Yeah, well, the Jaguars, as we remember from those games just a couple of years ago, they have their own Josh Allen. He's tied for the league lead in sacks. He's got 6 of them. And he's got 2 games this year with 3 sacks each. He played really well against you guys in 2021. And they also have former number 1 pick, Trayvon Walker, a couple of guys with some physical traits. What have you learned from the past couple of weeks, though? I mean, you faced Washington in this last week. You faced those big dudes down inside from Miami. What can that do to help prepare you for this game?
Yeah, they're special talents, the two that you just mentioned. They have a defensive line that can get after the quarterback, and every week that's the case in the NFL. And so we've got to do a very good job of establishing the line of scrimmage and giving Josh Allen a clean pocket here.
Coach, thanks for spending time with us. For you at home, thanks for joining us on the Sean McDermott Show presented by Kaleida Health. We'll see you next week, and as always, go Bills.
Final Thoughts is presented by Toyota. Toyota is the exclusive and official vehicle of the Buffalo Bills. Toyota, let's go places. The Sean McDermott Show is presented by Kaleida Health, the official healthcare provider of the Buffalo Bills. By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Call 716-684-COMP today. By Toyota. Toyota is the exclusive and official vehicle of the Buffalo Bills. Toyota, let's go places. And by Independent Health. You deserve the red shirt treatment.